Guys, we're excited today. You know what we're excited for? We're live talking about the Soul to Soul Summit coming up. We're doing interviews with some incredible people, all of the 18 presenters, and we're going to be bringing on Amie and Eileen today, part of Rewild, Renew. They've got a great podcast. If you haven't heard it, come check them out. We're gonna dig in and find out a little bit about why they're a part of this awesome event, why they're a part of our medical medium community here, and what they're going to be talking about today. So we're going to bring them on in just a moment here. And the Soul to Soul Summit, September 9th through September 17th. And if you if you can register, Eileen, hey, awesome. And Amie,
Hi, good to see you.
welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to have you on here. You know, I've been listening to your podcasts, both of you, and so it's just kind of funny to have this history with you of walking through your thoughts and your your just your passions and what you're excited to share with the world already. And now we get to actually connect like this. This is really cool for me. So thank you.
It's awesome. Thanks for having us. We always love to talk, so here we are.
Yeah, and we especially love to talk to the people who are listening to our podcast because we try and really tailor it for the people out there that are listening. So we always invite any kind of comments, feedback, or like just to find out who people are because you're sending it out there into the world and you don't know.
Definitely. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows until you start connecting face to face like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, okay, where are you from? I hear some kind of accent. I don't know, is that Australia, New Zealand, or British, Great Britain? I don't know.
I'm in sunny England. I'm
And
in, I'm sort of near London. That's kind of where I am. So yeah, I'm firmly in England. I'm not anywhere as fun as Australia or New Zealand. I'm here in England.
okay, there's so many different British accents, so it's like it's always confusing for me. And I think you mentioned that on your podcast, so I probably should have known that. But what about you, Eileen? Where are you from?
I'm in sunny Vermont. We're across, as we say, we're across the pond from each other, and we've actually never met in person, even after working together for so many years. So,
At
yeah,
least not in this life. Hey, Eileen.
yeah.
Right. Who knows? We've had perhaps many journeys before.
Clearly, our souls are old friends, but
Yeah, because we have this way of working, which is just a joy because we're very different people, I would say, and our approach is different, but we're just so aligned. There's never a kind of, well, I think this and I think that. It's always a yeah, and that's what our kind of podcast is it's our conversation, which is always quite full on.
yeah, we get
Yeah,
on a
it's
Google Doc together, and we just both are typing at the same time, and it's like something's channeling the same thing through both of us. It's pretty cool, actually.
I love that. I love that. And you know, there's so many people showing up today. This is awesome. Thank you everybody for coming. Make sure you go register for the summit, by the way. The link is in our bio. If you can donate something, it's for a great cause. We're helping out for the Core 4 supplement campaign, and we're partnered with the Patron Project. Uh, we're supporting healing warriors by helping them with emergency needs, with like shelter and food and healing foods, not just McDonald's or whatever, and supplements that they desperately need. So this is all going for a good cause, and everything is going into that through Heal Live Thrive community here. So if you can donate, be a part of it, great, but we want everybody to be there anyway. So if you can't donate, just come and show up, because your attention and your the light that you bring and everything, liking, comment, sharing, all of that will help drive this movement. This is a movement. It'll drive this movement forward and help us support the chronically ill. So tell us a little bit. We have to start one. Who wants to go first? I want to hear a little bit about just how you came into the medical medium community, even though I may have heard a little bit before, but just for our audience so we can connect with you a little bit. Amie, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll tell you, I started my journey with book one back in 2015. Like I just, and I've been with the books. That was a funny time because there was no real social media to speak of. There was like a couple of Facebook groups that just, people were running because they liked the information, or perhaps they were former clients. There really wasn't a great deal of, and there was one book. Like now, anyone that comes to it now is kind of spoiled with the amount that's out there. Also, I kind of feel for people that come to it now because there's a lot, and there's a lot of truth bombs to take. Whereas if you joined like a decade ago, we kind of got baby stepped up until the mad world that we live in today and the information that comes with that. So that's when I joined, that's when I jumped in, and my health was, going down. I had two very young kids. I'm an autism mum, and my health was going down, but I wasn't really very focused on that because my kids' health was scary. And my daughter had seizures, and that's why I came to it, and so then I start the healing journey, and I do a whole load of stuff wrong because there's not a lot of information, but I got a head full of brain fog and a couple of young, like a baby and a toddler, but I moved my way forward, and very quickly things start to change and turn around. And then I stumble into the soul part of healing, which, is kind of what the body is leading us to anyway, because the body is the house for the soul, isn't it? So then I stumble upon that, and I start healing a load of, very hushed up trauma that I'd done a really good job of keeping under wraps. And in doing so, intuition just kind of like opened up. And I mean, I would say, people say intuition opens up. I mean, I would just say, like, I just kind of got back to who I'm supposed to be, who I am really, just shed all the layers of life. And then, here we are today. So like, that's it in a nutshell, because there's this lovely story from Eileen as well, and I want to give her chance to speak. Her journey's a little longer than mine as well. You have more history than me.
Yeah, well,
Awesome.
thanks, Amy. I back in 2012, prior to the books, actually a little bit similar to Amy, I was having major health issues. I had two little kids, an infant and a toddler, and I had a friend. I also, one of my children was medically injured, and even though I was having trouble, I was really focused on my child, because that's what moms get scared about, is our children. And I had a friend slip me a piece of paper and said, you got to call this guy. He's going to know what's wrong and what you should do. And I was not a person who was afraid of psychics or, anything like that. But I thought, how can this person know? And actually, one of my friends called for her son, and it was incredibly miraculous overnight what happened. And I was like, okay, I'm calling this guy. And I waited about a month for the phone call, got on the phone with him, and chit-chatted for a couple of minutes. And then he's like, are you ready? I've been reading you. Are you ready? And I was like, I think. And he goes, don't worry. I don't have awful news to tell you. And in 5 minutes, he kind of gave me my whole life story, the health story. He was like, do you have this symptom, and this symptom? And I was like, yes, but I had no idea they were related or they had anything to do with anything. And I was just blown away. So he gave me a protocol. I started healing instantly. I healed literally a lifetime of certain UTIs I'd had my entire life. I haven't had one since that phone call, and that was just one. So I was really lucky to have had some conversations with him. I treasure every one I had, and I still pull them out and I go, remember when he said this to myself and to other people? So I've been doing this now since 2012, and I'm so grateful for all the books that are behind me because he can only tell you so much in a 10 or 20-minute conversation. He can't give us all of that in a conversation. And now we have these volumes and volumes of information. And every time I come up with an issue, I'm like, okay. Or sometimes, like he says, just like, let's let this book open and see where it is. And very much like Amy, when I started to heal, I started to become myself again, is a really good way to put it. And I started having really unusual experiences and recognizing that I did have a pretty strong intuition, probably some psychic skills. And it really brought me to the journey of my soul, which is what Amy and I love to talk about. And then I went and got some training and that kind of stuff. So I was looking for physical healing and wound up really getting my soul back and my life back in a way that I never expected and is everything to me. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
Wow. And that doesn't even take us to the shamanism part, because you
No.
two you two have had some experience with shamanism and found that it works in your experience with and resonates with Anthony Williams' work as well. And
Well,
so
I would never call what Anthony does is shamanism, because he doesn't call it that. But what both of us had was, we'd already done medical medium. We'd already done a lot of healing when we went through our training, because there's a lot of people out there who call themselves shamans that have nothing. They don't do what we do. We don't believe in what they do. It can, it's like a lot of things. And so we were able to take the information and say, yes, this part aligns. This part feels light. This is the part I'm going to focus on. This part feels real, and filter out the other stuff that wasn't what we would call helpful to the soul.
We are complete geeks when it comes to
Yeah.
finding overlaps, finding like what Anthony Williams says and where it kind of resonates with some things from our training. There's plenty we throw away from our training as well.
Yeah.
It's because you've got to bring discernment to anything that concerns matters of the soul, anything spiritual. You've got to have some discernment. But we love finding the overlaps, just the meditations being so based in nature and being so connected with the natural world. Like, there's some real things that we get quite excited about, and talking about things like soul retrieval. And Anthony talks about, bringing back pieces of ourselves, like connecting with pieces of ourselves in some of his meditations and that. So we get really too excited, I should say, about those kind of overlaps, and that's where we kind of we go to town on those things. But I always say this, but like, what defines, because I don't walk around saying I'm a shaman. I mean, I'm a suburban mum,
Right.
ultimately, and I don't wear anything fancy. I'm wearing t-shirt and jeans, like I'm just a suburban mum. But people in a shamanic culture will have a specific way of eating. They will pray in a specific way, and they will live their lives in a specific way. We're kind of, all of us, ticking those kind of boxes. That is not to say everyone here is a shaman. Anyone listens to this, anyone does medical medium stuff is a shaman. It's just a term, and I don't like semantics, and we trip over them. But I find it really interesting how, we are... doing medical medium information touches your life in such a way, like it will touch every aspect of your life. It's there in your relationships, it's there in your social life, it's there in your home life, what's in your home, what's not in your home. It's everything. It becomes, you end up living and breathing it. And so you can't sort of understate the effect that the far-reaching effects that it has on a person's life.
100%.
Well said. Well said. It touches every area that you allow it to, and even the areas that you don't, sometimes in good ways.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want it in your relationship, but it's there. Why won't you eat this? Well, because the guy that hears the voice says I shouldn't eat that. That's a difficult conversation to have. One we've all had as well.
Indeed. Yeah. But it sounds like you two have really had a lot of great tools just from listening to your podcast. Just discovered, I don't know, tools, inner tools, different kinds of tools, maybe communication tools for managing that stuff quite well, it sounds like, which I really appreciate. And I think the community can always benefit from connecting to that.
We feed off one another as well, don't we, Eileen? We kind of like move them on together, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Well, I think it's not our story is a common story. I think a lot of people come to the information for physical healing, and suddenly they discover they've got this soul, right? And that they've got some intuition opening up, and their brain fog, not quite as bad. And maybe they don't want to go back. You know, we think we're going to physically heal so we can go back to our old life, and suddenly we realize maybe we don't want that old life. Maybe we're going to get a brand new life that's very different and serves us better, serves our soul better. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about, is because this life is really a soul's journey. But most people are really not focused on that. Some people don't even know if they have a soul, which is fine. You are where you are. But when you start down, when you went to doctor after doctor after doctor with no answer, no answer, no answer, and going deeper and deeper in holes, and then you find that answer, and it comes from a place like medical medium, and then you start to feel the healing, and you start to realize you have this soul, like it's a real soul's journey. And you start to make decisions differently because you're making them maybe with your soul in mind and not just, I don't know, just you're not making them the way you used to. And it's a lot to come to, because as Amy's saying, it affects every part of your life. It's going to affect every one of your relationships. It's going to affect your work. And if you've been bedbound, clearly, you know, you've gone through struggles. So it's a journey. It's a journey, and we all need these tools to move through it.
And that's kind of what you're talking about at the summit, right? You're talking about the soul's journey. That's the topic officially, as I
Yeah.
understand, right?
Yeah, and what we like to do with when we talk about the soul is we like to demystify it, because it's like, oh, this soul thing, you know, this soul piece, this unseen thing, and we like to demystify it. I would say actually we like to really empower people, just to go back to their soul, to rebuild that trust with themselves, because everybody has a soul. There's nothing special about me that isn't special about anybody else, you know, like we're all in this place. Everybody has gifts. Everybody has something wonderful to bring to this world. That everyone has a lot of wisdom stored within them, even if you don't feel it all of the time. Because guess what? I don't feel it all of the time. You know, like fear can creep in and it can throw you off. But the thing is the pathway back to the soul. This is why we're called Rewild, Renew, because it's just about getting back to who you are, like that rewilding, getting back to that wild part of yourself before you became this domesticated, tamed animal that lives in normal society these days, you know, because it's all there. It's not actually outside of you. Eileen and I can't teach you to do anything other than be yourself, is what we kind of say. So we really like to simplify and demystify the soul and help a person feel empowered enough to trust in that for themselves. Wouldn't you say, Eileen?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there who will sort of convince you that you have to do something really radical, really strange, really exotic, you know, go on expensive retreats to find, you know, emotional well-being and soulful well-being. But you don't. You absolutely do not. And that's what Amy's talking about. We like to demystify it. It's actually not hard work. It's really more about an opening to, and a recognition and a trust of what's already there. Many people come to us and go, how do I grow my intuition? And our answer is, it's already there. You just have to learn to trust it, because we've been taught since very, very early on to be very analytical and not trust those other parts of ourselves. When those other, and it's not that our analytical brains aren't important, but those other part of ourselves are just as important. And we're taught so early on to just ignore them, not think they're relevant. And so it's really a coming back to knowing and trusting yourself. And Kathy's asking that the name of our podcast is Rewild Renew, and you can find it, you know, Apple Podcast, all the places you find podcasts.
Spotify. It's on Spotify.
It's on Spotify.
It
Yes.
sure is. Yeah.
And we love to talk about life and the soul and all of that kind of stuff, because we're all in it. You know, another thing we talk about a lot is that it's really easy to get caught up in our healing and in this idea that we have to be perfect. Our supplements have to be perfect. We have to know exactly what our diagnosis is, and that we're not doing enough. And I think people can really get stress themselves out, get into a lot of fear, and we want to pull you back from that. Like whatever you're doing on a daily basis is probably enough. And what you, if that's what you can do that day, can you have some peace in that and some gratitude in that, and connect with your soul as well, and think about your environment as well. That it's not a race. Healing is not a race. You need to live too. You need to live every day too. And bringing people back to that, I think helps to amplify the healing process when we can bring the fear levels down and bring some life back into our life, not put life on hold until we're healed.
Yeah, because if one thing is going to like disconnect you from your soul, it's fear. Anthony says that in the brain meditation. You listen to the bit at the beginning and the end, you know, he talks about how fear kind of exists as between the brain and the soul. You know, so fear is the one thing that's going to very quickly disconnect you. There's plenty of things to fear in this world. There's plenty of reasons to trust. There's plenty of reasons to have faith as well. And I always talk about how faith and fear is living on inverse sides. You know, we want to lean into those things. We want to lean into faith when we're feeling more fear. But, you know, there are simple, it sounds so simple, and it is so simple, yet we do appreciate it is hard to do. And we do need those reminders, particularly when we're in fear. But that pathway back to the soul is more natural and more simple than we might think. We take people through programs and people say, one of the most common things that people say is, I don't feel like I did anything, but my life's changed.
Yeah.
But
one person said this program felt like a vacation for my soul. And one of the things we do when people come in, they're ready to take notes of everything we're saying. We're like, no, just listen first and trust that your soul is going to hear exactly what you need to hear. And we talk about the non-doing. And then one of my kids' teachers, a music teacher, taught me this, that when he teaches kids music, you know, there's a lecture part. He's teaching them to do something. And then they practice. And then he wants them to let go and go play. And he's like, there's actually magic that happens in that letting go and going to play. And when they come back to the music, something's solidified, something's stuck with them. And, you know, we say it's the same thing with the soul. The soul, healing the soul and paying attention to the soul is not an analytical process. It's done in the doing of life. And so, you know, you can learn all of this stuff and you can take all your supplements, but also there's this just letting go. We love all of Anthony's meditations, like, you know, watching the bees and picking the fruit and breaking the sticks and taking a walk. This is about living and connecting with nature. And that's where the soul healing is.
Yeah, the life part, the living part is so important because it's what makes your spirit reach for the healing when you're going through hell. This living, but you see, chronic illness will disrupt life. So we spend a lot of time talking about how do we still bring life into how we bring life in when we're chronically ill, and then how do we rebuild a life once our whole paradigm has changed, because we are now living with medical media information. We're now seeing the world in a different way, and we're now more connected with our intuition, and things that felt like a natural choice before are something that we will pull away from now. So the healing journey is a soulful journey, whether or not someone will acknowledge that there even is such a thing as the soul. And, you know, and I love what Anthony says, like, the soul is who you are. It's who you are. And I love that really simple terminology, because then we see how it is in everything. It's in every conversation and every choice in the shops, and it's in everything we do affects our soul, and who we are, and what we do in this world and how we walk this earth. It's a beautiful conversation, and I think you've done really well, Lyndon, to kind of get a word in edgeways with me and Eileen, because when we get started down this track, we're not so easy to to get to stop.
Well, that's my job, is just to get you going. You know, I'm just trying to ignite the fire and then just watch it burn.
Yeah,
It's
Bill,
not hard
be
to
careful.
get Amie and I going.
Yeah, and I was going to say, be careful what you wish for. You know that saying.
Yeah, I love it. I just should have let you know. I did allow some additional time for our interview. I know most of the interviews are like 20 to 30 minutes, but since there was two of you, I thought You know, just in case you want to go over a little bit, I'll make sure we have a good hour or so. You
Oh,
never.
I didn't know that, and I can't stay for an hour. I am so sorry to say. I would have loved that, but I have an appointment to get to. But yes, no, you kind of wind us up and watch us go because like I said, the soul it is everything, and this is when you start to realize that the physical symptoms led you here. This is where we get into soul's gold, isn't it? This is where we start to sort of realize the gifts of our suffering. And Anthony talks about how we have to suffer to a point that we kind of will let in this level of information. We'll say, okay, like Eileen said, like someone handed her a piece of paper, and but you have to get to a point of desperation. I would call, like, for me it was a point of desperation. We're like, okay, I'll give this a go, because it's no joke cutting some of these things out of our lives, like coffee and dairy and all of that kind of stuff. You've got to be really, really ready for it. But then you start to gather the soul's gold, because you realize it was leading me here all along, because I thought life was about this, and now I've realized that life is about that, you know. And you kind of, it makes you start again from the ground up. It really is a rebuilding process, it would seem. Did you find that, Lyndon, for yourself?
I mean, life is different. It's so much different than it was before. Um, I definitely believed or had some suspicion that there was a soul and, you know, some sense of spirituality, but definitely things have all taken a different color. And and it's a great blessing, and just the reconnection to myself and the reconnection to the world in a different way. And I can't say enough on that one. It's a big topic. It's a big topic for sure.
I
Yeah,
think
because
And
what's been great is all of the moments where I'm going, I knew it. Like something in my soul knew, and the whole world tried to tell me that wasn't true. And Anthony will say something, and I'm like, yes, I knew it. I knew. It's such confirmation, and we're all wanting to everybody to have that feeling, but not everybody's where we are. And it's another reason why the community is so important. Like Lyndon, I may have seen you or met you in the first LA event in June. I'm not sure. I've met so many people, but what struck me about that was the community, because there's all of these people, like we've all felt so alone on our phones, right? And then suddenly here's 22,000 people who are right where we are. And everybody, I've never been to an event where there were that many people, that many crowds of people, and everybody was kind and everybody was helping everybody and everybody was sort of on the same page. And it's really a beautiful thing, because all of us are also dealing with our loved ones not understanding and not ready for this information and not wanting to drink a lemon water in the morning. And we're watching them suffer and we're watching them get sick. And it's so important that we have each other to know that we're not alone in this and not alone in what we see. And that also is really important for the soul.
did you get that sense when you were at that event that there's that soul connection, that soul, almost like soul family, like you're just in this super comfortable environment and you're heard and seen like never before?
Listen, I'm a super sensitive person who's not always all that comfortable in crowds. And I was so comfortable in that crowd of people. Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty powerful. Are you going to go to New York at all? You're in Vermont. You're not that far.
I know it's only about 5.5 hours. We'll see. I mean, he hasn't put out the link for tickets yet. If the
Mm.
angels want me there, I will be there.
You've got to cross an ocean, though, Amie.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah, my circumstances don't quite allow for me to get that far at the moment, but should he ever be here in London, you will better watch out. I'll be there. I'll be elbows out. I'll be there. But no, I'm sure one day, you know, life's an evolving thing. I'm sure I will be there at some point, but I've yet to experience that. I lived through Eileen. Just when she's at the events and she sort of
If
sends me
you
lots of.
watched the first event live, and I was on, I suddenly realized, my son pointed out, we're on TV. And I'm like, Amie, Amie, Amie.
We were
And
actually sending voice
she and
messages.
her kids were watching and texting me back on the phone. So it was funny because even though she was, you know, an ocean away, it still felt like she was connecting, and it was a beautiful thing. I think that was a moment that really this community changed, and in a really good way, and solidified. I think that event was really important, whether you were there or not. I know it's easy for me to say because I was there, but I do think it was a really important event.
I think I can say, I think it certainly brings people together that aren't there as well. And there's so much joy to watch people see one another. There's so much joy. And that's what's unique about this community, is that they can feel that connection through one another. And, you know, because this is a bunch of people who are on that pathway back to their souls. And I think, you know, I just think in a very grandiose way, if you want to make change in this world, you lead people back to their souls, because I don't have all the answers. You know, Eileen doesn't have all the answers, but everybody has got that soul within each of them that knows this is how to move forwards. This is what we need to do. So like, this is, again, this is like coming back to our messages. We say over and over and over, like, know thyself, go back to yourself. And it creates great change, because, you know, Lyndon, when I threw that back at you, like, haven't you found that for yourself? And you were saying, yeah, and look at you, here you are, you're helping people get the healing tools that they need, but because they're choosing it, but their circumstances might dictate that they can't access them. And here you are, like, making that it's a huge ripple effect, and that you're having. And this is it, like, people just come back to themselves, they go themselves and their souls, and it changes the world. You know, it's saving people's lives, it's changing people's lives. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's a real honor for Amie and I to work with the people we work with, because we've watched people change their lives, and it's just mind blowing to see, because they're doing it, and they're stepping up and doing it, and they're getting all of the soul's goals out of it. And Amie and I just kind of sit there and are like, you know, enjoying every moment of watching people really get empowered in their lives, and it's a beautiful thing. And Amie and I also try to walk our talk, which is why we don't have an hour today, because our number one role still is mom. And I actually have to go meet with the principal of my kids' high school. So,
Wow. But
yeah, and
that is
bring you know, I've put light. It's not a pleasant meeting we're having. I've used the spiritual tools. I last night spent, you know, 10 minutes putting light around the principal and the school and the meeting, and I'm asking the angels to come with me. You know, this is what I love about medical medium tools, because we don't have to feel so desperate in complicated situations. You know, we can use these tools, and I notice a difference. I watch it change other people's experiences into trust that I'll be supported when I go and do these things.
It's so much more than just EBV and shingles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, this information,
yes,
don't leave home without those angels. Take it everywhere, and, you know, it's incredible. This is why it's so life changing and so empowering.
amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've dropped so much on us, and I can't wait to see the presentation that you two are going to offer at the summit. So as we're wrapping up here, I want to just invite you to share. Is there anything else that you want to leave the audience with today to inspire them to join us or connect with you further? And what would that be?
Well, there's this thing that we say. In fact, it's always Eileen's line at the end of a podcast, and I just feel inclined to say it now. It's just, don't forget how powerful you are today, today and every day.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give your soul's power away to anyone today.
It belongs to no one but you,
That's
ultimately.
right.
So hold
That's
on
right.
to it.
That's amazing. By the way, when I was at the first event, I had the pleasure of meeting Jen and Ram.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you both know them
Yeah.
in your
Yes.
Yes.
program. They spoke very highly of you.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, and we would have them. Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
so excited to talk about all the things they were learning and going through.
Well,
So
it's funny because Jen was the first person I ran into. I was checking into my hotel and I had no idea she was staying at the hotel, and ran into each other in the lobby checking in. So it was it was a nice confirmation that it was the right place to be in the right time.
Yeah.
amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so tell us, how do we connect with you? I know you mentioned the Rewild Renew podcast is available on all the major podcast platforms. How else would you like people to reach out to you if they want to connect to you directly, Eileen and Amie?
Well, you can check out the link tree in both of our bios,
Yeah.
and we have a website, www.rewildrenew.com. We have a newsletter you can sign up for, and watch our social media, because we are about to. Amie and I always take a break in the summer. Again, we always try to walk our talk, and we take a break in the summer, particularly in August, and we come back in the fall bright and shiny and ready with new stuff. And we are coming back to you in September, bright and shiny with new stuff. So definitely watch our social media for what's coming.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for joining us today. I've really enjoyed connecting with you both. I feel the passion coming out, and that deep soulful
Sorry about that.
connection going on here. It's really beautiful. And to see the faces behind the voices that I've been listening to all this time, and just so inspired to have you a part of this summit. So yeah, again, thank you both.
Thank you
Um,
very much, Lyndon, and bravo to you guys, doing this work and talking about the soul and helping people with their supplements and whatever they need. It's important work, and we're happy to be a part of it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So everybody come check out Amie and Eileen, one of the 18 amazing presenters, or two of the 19 technically. But let's not get into that.
Yeah.
We're packaging you into one session though. So,
It's okay.
um,
Yeah. That's good.
so united you stand, I think, as far as this goes. Anyway, thanks again for everybody joining us today. Say bye to Amie and Eileen. Thank you so much. Blessings. Love you all. And let's talk. Let's keep an eye out for those interviews, and we'll see everybody at the summit.
We'll see you at
Register
the
at the link in
summit.
your bio. Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lyndon.
My pleasure. Bye now.
Bye.